Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Sports Media. My name is Ryan Linkletter, and yes, another day, another 7-round mock draft for us. Today, we are tackling the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, we all know the Cincinnati Bengals have had a very busy offseason. They have got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins locked into long-term deals. They paid both their wide receivers, yes. Now, what does that mean for their defense? Well, Trey Hendrickson has requested a trade, and their asking price is a first-rounder. No team has met that price just yet. And on the defensive side of the ball, they still lack a ton of talent. And last season, that was their biggest flaw. We all know that Joe Burrow put up a MVP type season and probably the best year of his career. And the Bengals missed the playoffs. So, yeah, this Cincinnati Bengals team has some work to do. They're picking in the upper half of the draft due to their performance last season. And the roster remains very similar to what it was last season, despite, some changes in some personnel in the coaching staff with Lou Anarumo being gone. And then the offensive side of the ball, not making many impact moves, but they made a little bit of additions here or there for some depth. And then defensively, it hasn't been much of a difference. Now, the biggest thing, obviously, we know the defense needs a lot of improvement at basically every single position for this Cincinnati team. If they can find a way to walk away with, let's say, 3 to 4 starters from this draft, that would be an absolute win for this Bengals team. It is going to have to be shootouts next season for this Cincinnati team to have a good shot at making it back to the Super Bowl. But we'll see. Let's see if they can walk away with a good draft, and let's hop right into this mock draft right now. All right, let's get right into this draft here for the Cincinnati Bengals, and let's look who's picked in front of us. Obviously, some of the defenders that we're going to be looking at: Mike Green, Ezaraku from Boston College, Kenneth Grant. All three of these players are definitely potential picks, as well as Will Johnson here from Michigan. All potential picks for the Cincinnati Bengals at 17 if they are available. But looking at the board, two names that definitely stand out: Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. Really good player, very good against the run, elite pass rush win rate at the interior defensive lineman position. And then Malachi Starks here at safety, who's really good at Georgia, both as a downhill run stopper and over the top. Really good player overall. Personally, I think the Bengals should pick Walter Nolan. I think Nolan is slightly better prospect than Malachi Starks and could have more of an impact on day one on the Cincinnati Bengals defense. So heading into round two, we went interior defensive lineman. Now, we need to address the secondary or potentially an edge rusher here. There's definitely three names that stand out all right here at the top. We're going to start with Princely here. 91.1 grade last year for Ole Miss. Really good pass rusher. 22.8% pass rush win rate with 11 sacks, 16 hits, 28 hurries last year. Was a very, very good pass rusher for Ole Miss. And then you have Benjamin Morrison here from Notre Dame. Had pretty good production all 3 years in college. Just a really steady option at the cornerback position. And then you have Kevin Winston Jr., who is by far the highest upside player out of these other guys in this situation. Now, he only had a 2-game sample size based on the injuries he suffered this past season, but he is a really, really good player. Was a great downhill player in safety and over the top for Penn State in 2023, but the injuries have caused his draft stock to slip a little bit. I think Winston is a better pick here for the Bengals, getting their true over-the-top safety who can play in the box, kind of like what they had with Von Bell in the past. I think Winston fits that mold for what the Bengals are looking for in that secondary. Heading into round 3, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Do you address the guards? Do you go and get an edge rusher? What do you need more? And even like some wide receivers I like here. I really like Jalen Noel, but with Higgins and Chase locked up, they can no longer invest this capital into the wide receiver position. I think Chris Paul Jr. is a player that they should look at as well. Their linebackers are slightly overrated, and I think Logan Wilson is on the wrong side of his prime right now. It could be a guy they look at right there. But I really do think the pick is Tate Ratledge. Tate Ratledge has really good production during his time at Georgia. Only allowed 2 sacks in 3 seasons despite being a 3-year starter. Will slot into that right guard position for the Cincinnati Bengals there, and he, was just a really good player at his career in Georgia. I think that's a great pick for Cincinnati, finally establishing a strong interior offensive line for this team. Now you get into round 4. They have 3 more picks remaining. And this is where things get really interesting. I think Savion Jones here is definitely a guy that they should take a look at. Pretty good pass rush win rate, solid pass rush grades over his time there. Noel Williams here, really good player that I like a lot. Could be an option for them as well. Then you got some guys kind of down here that are interesting. To be honest, I think Noel Williams makes the most sense for this team. Heading back to him, he had 7 interceptions in 2024, had really good production in all 3 years at Cal. Getting a guy like this in the 4th round could be a high upside cornerback option for the Bengals since they missed out on some of those top options in round 1, round 2. Heading into round 5 now we're looking into fill some depth in some positions. We'll try to find some high upside options as well. I think RJ Mickens being available at this point is crazy. Cincinnati would not be dumb to take another safety here. I think that'd be a good pick. You get tackle depth with Logan Brown, which, Orlando Brown wasn't necessarily available all the time last year and has struggled over his contract. Could be an interesting pick there. Craig Woodson's a pretty good player as well. Cal had a pretty good secondary last year that was a little bit underrated. Tim Smith, solid interior player for Alabama in the past. It's definitely interesting where they can go here. I think a guy like Ty Robinson does make a lot of sense for this team. Pretty good numbers throughout his college career. We are going to go with Logan Brown, though, get them with some tackle depth on that offensive line and not have to rely on Orlando Brown being healthy 24/7. So there we go. Heading into our next pick, now that we got some players still available here, I think Ty Robinson makes a ton of sense for this team. Robinson, very good interior defender. You get 2 good nose tackles for this team that make a lot of sense, and I think reestablishing that Cincinnati front is something that they desperately need after last season. Heading into the last pick. Oh, that is our last pick. Bang. All right, here we go. This is the graph. We got an A for our graph grade. Walter Nolan's an A+ there. B- for Kevin Winston, Tate Ratledge A. Ty Robinson in the 6 gave us an A+ as well. All right, folks, there it is. The Cincinnati Bengals full 7-round mock draft. I think we did a good job. We established the defensive needs. We started with a great interior defensive lineman in Walter Nolan. I think Walter Nolan is truly a top 10 prospect in this draft. He can win on the interior as a run defender while also being a great pass rusher as well. I think if the Bengals have him fall into their laps at that spot at 17, I think it's a great pick. And I think they are in a good spot to walk away with one of the better defensive players in this draft where they're currently lined up in the draft. In the 2nd round, adding a guy like Kevin Winston Jr. is definitely a very solid move for them. Getting a safety who, is honestly a very underrated prospect at this point, was really good in 2023, didn't have a 2024 season due to injuries, basically. I think getting him at a value makes a ton of sense for a team like Cincinnati that can use a high upside player in the secondary with not a lot of availability in terms of the top corners at that spot. In round 3, you try to establish some of the guard problems you have last year with Tate Ratledge from Georgia. I think that's a really good pick for them. It gives them some versatility in the interior offensive line. Then in round 4, you go and get yourself the cornerback you need in Noel Williams. Williams definitely had a really good year at Cal, had those 7 interceptions. I think gives them a playmaker in the secondary that they desperately need. In round 5, you get some tackle depth with Logan Brown, who's an underrated prospect. And I truly think if the Bengals struggle with injuries at tackle again this year, Brown could swing a few quality starts out of them and potentially even be a long-term starter if he develops a little bit more. And then in the final round, we went Ty Robinson from the University of Nebraska, filling in as another rotational piece as the run-stuffing defensive lineman. What do you guys think? Did this defensive-heavy draft for the Cincinnati Bengals give them a better shot at competing for a Super Bowl in 2025? We know they have a lot of work to do. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think, if this draft was a quality draft or not. Let me know what picks you would change or keep. Just let me know down below. If you guys are interested in more mock draft content ahead of next week, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more videos, and I will catch you guys next time.